Hi, and welcome to All Things Cozy with Matt.
And Gillian.
We are a bi weekly podcast about everything that is warm, soft, and comforting. This week, we enlisted the help of a color analysis expert to reveal what seasons look best on us and to create a guide for unlocking your true blue style. But before we spin the color wheel, let's catch up with Cozy in the News. For our first story, you can file this one under Celebrity Saves a Life. It comes out of Nashville, where a young woman had climbed over the railing of a pedestrian bridge and appeared to be contemplating a life ending decision. That is, until rock star John Bon Jovi, who was on the bridge filming footage for an upcoming music video, approached and stopped to talk to her. Surveillance footage shows the woman hugging John Bon Jovi, who helped her back over the railing to safety. Nashville police thanked John Bon for helping out a citizen in need when she was halfway there, living on a prayer, reminding her to live while she's alive. Please excuse the terrible puns.
I think, though, it really encapsulates the goodness of celebrities because I think in recent years we've really slammed pop culture and celebrity culture in general. But
We've been destroying pop culture, decimating,
we
slamming.
have, and me too. I'm in the line of fire.
Jillian means herself as a writer, not the Me Too movement.
You're just on a roll. But they definitely can influence folks and they're because they kind of seem larger than life. And so they can just, I think, influence folks and be a voice that folks will listen to. Otherwise, they wouldn't.
What I find especially cozy about this story is the absurdity underneath all of this. I mean, this is a really serious situation. And when you watch the footage, you see so many people walking past this woman, not acknowledging her life is at risk. And they do nothing. It's almost like they don't even see her. And so, first, just celebrity aside, that he approached and really tried to engage and successfully got her to come back to safety. Whoever he was, that's incredible. But the other layer of it being John Bon Jovi, imagine being that person. You know, it's a really dire moment for you, and some rock star comes up. It makes you wonder if I were in that position, if I would have recognized John Bon Jovi. I might probably not. I mean, it probably to her was just a guy.
That's what I imagine.
Yeah, just a caring person. And I think celebrity aside, that he was just in that moment a caring person who took time out to really notice his surroundings and other people and what they needed. That's very cozy.
Yeah, and I think being a celebrity too, you have this level of confidence that maybe
Mhm.
would embolden you to act in a situation like that because I think a lot of us sometimes don't know what to do or if I go over, maybe I'll make it worse
Yeah,
and so I think something we could pick up from celebrities just to take action, have that confidence and help a person need when you see them in need.
absolutely. Jillian, what is on your news desk this week?
Well, I think this just comes right into my news story because we could all use more kindness. And that's the thought behind Kind Words, a cozy game that became a hit amid the pandemic. The premise is simple: your avatar sits in a cozy room while listening to lo fi music and responding to other users' letters. You can post your own requests for support too, and the goal is to encourage and bring comfort to one another anonymously. The best part is there is no pressure to like, share, or even become friends with another user, which I think is something you like, Matt, because
Mhm.
we can all become so overwhelming with the social media stuff. So many people love and appreciate the game, and now, 5 years after its release, we're getting kind words too. The update, as Outlet and Gadget reports, will, quote, import your letters. There will be room changes and stickers from the first game, and it allows you to leave the bedroom and explore a small town of shops, cafes, and parks. On top of the standard letter writing loop, you can customize your avatar with new clothes, scream in written form into the void, wish on a star, perform poetry, and interact with other players in public spaces. So that all sounds super cozy. There's a trailer you should check out because it looks like a fall scene, the new version, which I really love. And also, what the outlet didn't note is that you can ask for recommendations in this version. So if you go into an album shop, you can ask for what are you listening to? Basically, what we do here recommendations for books, all the good stuff. The release date is for October 7th, so mark that on your calendar.
Yeah, I love a cozy game. This is a really nice way to gamify connection and also reflection too. This new feature that you can even just write into something that's going to just be deleted. But this sounds like a really nice, relaxing, cozy way to, yeah, gamify those personal connections.
And the creator has a really great idea for trolls because I'm sure everyone's thinking, like, what if someone just signs up and is a jerk and says mean things? That has happened before, but the creator says it's about 3% of it. And what they do is they filter it all out. And unlike other games where that would maybe result in instant ban, they try to balance it out so they're not making other users uncomfortable, but also not alienating users because the creator said a lot of the times when he would go investigate these quote unquote trolls, they would have a post that would say, I'm so lonely and I have no friends. It's not to justify that kind of behavior, but instead of banning them, they just put them on hold and give them another chance to acclimate into the game and maybe try and see the goodness of it and to become better and integrate with the community, which I think is a neat way to handle that sort of thing.
I love that. That's very restorative. That's great. Well, that concludes Cozy in the News. I want to pause here for a second to say at this point into the new season, we've alternated Cozy in the News and Tea Time. And we'd like to know from our listeners, do you prefer when we open the show with Tea Time? Or do you prefer when we do Cozy in the News? Or do you like it that we keep alternating and you want us to keep doing that? So, this is a reminder to look to our social media at All Things Cozy Podcast to vote and give us feedback on how you'd like us to open the show moving forward. We want your listener feedback on that.
Yeah, I'm curious what everyone thinks. I don't want to sway anyone a certain way, but I do have a preference.
Oh, wow. So, yeah, so you're going to disappoint Jillian some ways. Follow your
Pressure's
heart,
on.
listeners. We really want to know from you. Don't worry about what Jillian wants. It's about what you want. Well, Jillian, on to another shade of topic.
Ooh, I love that transition, Matt. Very impressive. So, if you're a Gilmore Girls fan, you're probably familiar with an early scene where Richard Gilmore probably declares to his then 16-year-old granddaughter Rory, I am an autumn. It's a playful and sweet moment in which Richard takes a color analysis quiz from a teen magazine to connect with her. The I am an autumn line has also become a popular sound to play over Instagram reels of cozy fall tableaus and treats. Who wouldn't want to be an autumn in that context? However, you can't determine your season from a quiz in a magazine. And when we say season, we're not just talking about the classic four. There are 16 seasons of options for your perfect color palette. We learned this from Colors by Midnight owner Justine Glazer, a color analysis expert we hired to analyze us and deliver our results. Justine used three elements to determine our seasons: undertone, value, and intensity. Undertone is a hint of hue beneath your skin and can be warm, cool, or neutral, while value is how light or dark a color is. Intensity is how bright or muted a color is. Most people go in person to have their analysis done, with the expert covering them in different drapes featuring the colors of each season. Think of it like a long, colorful bib, or the drape they put on you at the hair salon, but colorful instead of black. For example, if the expert is testing out True Summer, they drape you in a cloth with representative shades. You're draped until a perfect match is found, and typically this is easy to see as your face is supposed to brighten up and pop with your true season. The goal is to not look washed out or muted. In this case, we met Justine over Zoom, and she gave our results via email shortly beforehand. She analyzed those three elements I mentioned earlier with pictures we sent in 24 hours before the session. We were instructed to wear a white top and forego makeup so she could accurately assess us. Justine doesn't use an app, she uses Photoshop to do virtual drapings. So, what seasons are we? Before we reveal our true hues, let's rewind to why we decided to do this in the first place. So, Matt, why did you want to try color analysis and what about it is cozy for you?
I have always wanted to do a color analysis. First of all, the labels themselves are very cozy. The seasonal association, I already love seasons, as anyone listening to the show knows. So the idea of really getting to own a season as your color palette always appealed to me. But it always felt like something that celebrities or people who can afford a stylist get to do. And I never imagined that I would do that for myself. I wouldn't treat myself to it until you're thinking about what podcast episode ideas you can do, and Jillian suggested as a topic, and you're like, finally, I can do my color analysis. So pure curiosity, but also I think the cozy element of the seasonal association. And then ultimately, it's something that's personalized to you. It's your color palette. And I think that can be potentially very empowering in terms of knowing really what works for you personally.
Yeah, I was the same way. I always wanted to do it, especially since it took off on Instagram recently, where everyone's in those colored bibs. I was like, oh, I really want to wear one of those colored bibs. And they rip it off and they put a new bib on. And then just to see the faces light up and or be muted based on what season they put on, that always looked like a lot of fun. So I'm a little sad that we didn't get to do it in person, but also happy we didn't have to drive the whatever hours to Justine's place of business as well. I also can't find pants. Everyone knows that. How's this relate to what I'm talking about? I just am in this weird period where from my early 20s, mid 20s, I loved clothes and I loved style and it was really a place to express myself. But then in my 30s, I just feel like I'm in this weird place being lost in all the trends and pants is like really hard for me. And so that has just been, bringing me down.
Jillian
And
hasn't worn pants in 5 years. She's
no
gotten
man.
so flustered. Thank goodness we do this on Zoom.
Yes, I'm just in a lost place, and I think this is representative of that where it's like I want good information, I want to sink my teeth into the facts and get to know myself and have a professional point me in the right direction. I also think it's so cozy to feel good about yourself and embrace your natural attributes, and having the information in your hand is so cozy to achieve it like that and to be informed on the colors of the wind, so I was so excited to talk to Justine and get her results.
Yeah, it was like Christmas morning getting the results in the mail.
Speaking of Christmas morning, let's unwrap our results. And what season are you, Matt?
I was very pleased with my results because the label itself, I have to say, like, it went to my head because I'm a true deep, which is midway between autumn and winter. So the shades are warmer than winter, but cooler than autumn. So my palette has colors like hunter green, burgundy, stone gray, and I don't know whether or not to take offense to this, pansy purple. I will never not accept a label like True Deep, like I said. In fact, I was so high on being an autumn and winter and ooh yeah, I that's
Oh,
kind of what I
yeah.
wanted. It was very bias confirming. And I immediately started gloating to Jillian because most palettes actually don't incorporate black, and I love to wear black. And in my palette, I can wear technically not a true black, but like a brown black. I can really get dark with the colors that are on my palette. And Jillian might not be able to do that once you find out what her results were. So I was very I was teasing her a lot when we got the results.
Yeah, True Deep sounds like some sexy man perfume.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I was like, wow, this is
Very mysterious.
it's almost like, oh, this is probably what he wants to hear. So let's give him the true deep
No,
analysis.
I think when we first met, you were wearing more of these tones, or maybe I was imagining it, but I always saw you more in jewel tones. Even
hmm
when you maybe wore like a suit to a wedding, you'd wear a button down shirt that's more like a burgundy kind of tone.
Yeah, I own a lot of burgundy. It was also very, again, confirming because I typically buy these colors anyway because what you look good in typically, but there are some outlier cases where like maybe you try to make a color work and it's not, even though you like the color a lot, but
Yeah.
it doesn't really work on you. I was surprised that there's absolutely no orange in my palette, like not
Love
even a little
orange.
bit, but I love like a burnt orange kind of rusty look, and I'm not giving up I just bought a new coat in that color. That's not going anywhere. I think I
No.
look great in it. And again, I don't think it's that, like, necessarily the other colors make you look terrible, but it's about, like, really what brightens you up and compliments you the best. And so I will be leaning into these moving forward. But Jillian, I'm taking up space and time from hearing about your result. What was your result and your reaction to it?
I'm a warm spring with medium intensity. And, I want to say disappointed, but I wasn't expecting spring and I wasn't expecting warm because I always thought that I was cool toned. And I'll get to that later because I'm going to expose a big lie. But warm spring, and I don't wanna be a hater to all the other warm springs out there, but it did sound a little basic. 'Cause when you have something like True Deep and then warm spring, there's really no comparison, but I was excited that I'm a warm spring that, as Justine said, flows into fall. And then I came around to warm spring because it seems really fun and it's nice to know my true undertone. So I ended up getting excited and I could experiment with a bunch of new colors. I have a parrot green, really want to dive into that. Golden kiwi, things that I just would never think of. But I also have my fall colors, which I already naturally gravitate towards. So, Matt, I had a similar thing as you where, oh, these are already things that I like and want to wear more of. Had a nutmeg in there, a clove, amber, all of those kind of rich browns and oranges and all that good stuff. But yeah, so I'm getting used to it. I also want to say, Matt, I don't know if you saw in the results that there's a portion of it that says image, and that has a bunch of different adjectives under it. And I guess that's the adjectives to describe the season, even though I thought Justine had said you can't really ascribe personality to a season. But I thought yours were so accurate. Yours are strong, elegant, mature, powerful, credible, and authentic. I think those all really describe you really well. And then mine were spectacular.
You are spectacular.
Thank you. Lively, distinctive, natural, approachable, and friendly. I think I see more approachable and friendly. Maybe that's just like a spring thing. But yeah, I thought that was interesting too. What do you think of those adjectives?
It's so funny, I completely ignored that section, but I would say you're extremely natural and approachable and friendly. I think that's and you are very I actually, these are really accurate, but honestly, that's interesting because what I really do like about the color analysis piece is that it isn't a personality test. It's really just about what colors look good on you. Of course, there's always gonna be some level of subjectivity to that, but a lot of it is really just how does light reflect a color onto your complexion? And how does that make you look? Does it make you look washed out? Does it make your eyes look brighter? It's not like it's a science by any means, but I feel like it is a little closer to just a thing you can see and talk about versus some random person being like, "You look mature if you're in this skin tone." Like, I don't know. It's interesting, but I almost wish I wasn't there because I'm like, what I like about color analysis is that it's not a personality test. It's just about the visual thing. But or maybe I don't understand the trade of color analysis at all.
I mean, I think it just reinforces that the color analysis was leaning in the right direction. I think our results are super accurate, and maybe it was just an interesting coincidence that they do describe us really well because you're extremely authentic. That's why people love you so much. And all the great things, I think you're also very strong, like all those different personalities. And she
No
couldn't
one has
have
ever
known
called
that.
me, "Oh, so very strong." I don't know about that one.
Inner strength. I think your inner strength, and let's say you're not strong physically. I mean, I have never seen you lift weights, so I can't
I
speak
don't
to
know. You've
that.
never seen me crumble when I get a
We
flat
never hit.
tire, so this is
No, I think there's many different types of inner strength, but we're getting too, deep into this, not to use a pun, but all right. Obviously, we learned a lot of different things in our discussion with Justine. So, what's an interesting factoid about color analysis that you picked up?
oh, definitely that navy blue is in everyone's palette. So when in doubt, go navy blue. It's one of those factoids that I know that I'm going to be repeating ad nauseum as small talk
It's,
at cocktail parties for the rest of my life.
it's a good
Did
one.
you know that everyone looks good in navy blue? Like, it's one of those facts, like, you have nothing else to say to somebody, and you mention that because 'cause you're just grasping for straws. I just think that fact is neat, and it feels very true because I feel like it is the most common color of clothing item, like, I feel like you can find most things in navy blue if it is a clothing item that has color options, and I've never seen anyone look bad in it. It always flatters everybody, so that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think it's not as harsh as black. And I also think that it is an interesting discussion point. I don't know how it would come up, but you could just drop it in there at a dinner party and maybe people will get into a fierce debate about it.
Well, yeah, you could say, "You don't look great in this outfit, but you know what would look great is if
Yeah,
you wore navy blue."
if that's not invited to any dinner parties or anything. But I think people are so defensive about black, they just love it, like the little black dress and all that stuff. So I don't know. But the most wild piece of information that I learned, and I want to call it out and light every teen magazine on fire, that the vein test is a complete and total lie. If you're not familiar with the vein test, you're supposed to look at your veins in like your wrist area and see what color it is. And also if you can actually see your veins. If your veins are a blue color and your skin is almost translucent where they're very prominent, then you're allegedly a cool toned person. So you should stay away from warm tones. So my entire life I've gone with that. Even when I buy makeup, I'm like, oh God, stay away from those warm shades. Getting my hair colored or doing anything like that. So it's informed my whole entire I say my whole entire life sounds very extreme. I'm living by my veins.
Jillian's
But
whole
you're right.
world has fallen apart now that she's a warm spring.
Yeah, I just never thought I was a worm, but apparently I am, and it actually makes a lot of sense. Like I could wear gold bracelets, or I always gravitate towards silver. Apparently I shouldn't. It should be gold. So that was very surprising. And then also that color analysis can make you look younger too, which I guess makes sense because you're brightened up and you're more leaning into what works for you. But I didn't think that color analysis could affect our appearance that drastically, but I guess it can.
I saw a video on social media recently that showed a woman putting on different color tops and how the light that reflected off that color either accentuated her double chin or made it disappear.
My God.
And that was interesting just to see how the color of the clothing can really make a whole feature either appear or disappear on your face.
Wow. I love these videos on Instagram about the color analysis. They're so neat. And I like seeing people pleased with their results and getting happy and having a renewed confidence. So I'm into this trend. So now that we've learned a lot about color analysis, I gotta ask Matt, have you tried out the results in real life? And do you still agree with analysis if you have? And then if you haven't tried it yet, what are you looking forward to with this newfound knowledge?
We only got our color analysis done 5 days ago, so there hasn't been that much time. But I'm definitely going to use the information that I got from it to inform future clothing purchases. And what I also found interesting was you can use this knowledge. Obviously, makeup is another big area for the colors you choose. But something that she mentioned that I didn't think of was furniture color, or whenever you're trying to establish like a personalized color palette for like your office or wherever you might work, to use the palette to inform the color of the furniture or the items on your desk or things like that, because they will reflect on you too when you're in those spaces. And so those things can flatter you more when you're in those spaces. So I thought that was another interesting way to apply it. What I also liked that Justine said was that to apply this slow and steady, there's no need to drastically revamp everything. Just start small. You probably already have a lot. Again, you probably already know what colors flattered you the best anyway to some level. And so it's unlikely you'll have to like completely throw out your entire wardrobe, I think, unless you're Jillian. But for most of us true deeps, it's just a few minor tweaks here and there and just something to be mindful of going forward. So I'm looking forward to, yeah, thinking about that. But I guess there's a small part of me that I don't want to be completely limited by it. Do you know what I mean? What if I find something that's perfect? So I also want to leave a little bit of a window and door open for maybe sometimes another color could work, even if it's not on my palette.
Yeah, that's well said. I'm glad that you brought up the home decor aspect to it because I think when you're feeling better in your space, that makes it more inviting for your guests as well, which is really cozy and nice. I haven't tried out my results too much similar to you because, yeah, we only did 5 days ago, but I have been scoping out some clothing items that obviously I need time to buy. And what I like about Justine's result analysis was that she outlined specific colors. So I can just type in nutmeg jacket, which I did, and I quickly found one that I liked. So just having things to bookmark and look forward to purchasing in the future when I can is nice. And I'm looking forward to it because obviously fall's right around the corner. Yes, we're in fall, but October and getting to wear a new wardrobe, trying to piece it in. 'Cause, yeah, I can't buy it all at once. I'm not going to throw out everything. And you hit the nail on the head. We shouldn't be throwing out things that we like. Doesn't fit in your wheel, still wear it.
Yeah, I think you can still own it and celebrate the you before you knew what your palette was. From the colors in our closet to the colors that are invoked by words, it's time for words of warmth. This week, my words of warmth come from Scottish writer Robert Louis Stevenson, author of Treasure Island and The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Before I reveal what Robert Louis Stevenson wrote, I've noticed a trend in my words of warmth that I'm starting to go through just full poem readings, and I have to apologize for that. But I really struggle when I look for quotes about a topic that we're addressing or kind of want to lean into a certain vibe of the season or whatever, how so many quotes are just flat out ridiculous. Like,
Mhm.
one I saw today was it was like the pop singer of the weekend saying, "I'm an autumn kinda guy," or something. It was just like, this is
It's
on
not a quote, that's just words you're saying.
yeah, like, why is this on Country Living's 85 quotes you need to read about fall? You know what I mean? It's
Right.
just I wanted to find something that really brought in the colors of autumn and what it feels like to be in the season. And so here is Autumn Fires, a poem by Robert Louis Stevenson. In the other gardens and all up in the vale, from the autumn bonfires, see the smoke trail. Pleasant summer over, and all the summer flowers, the red fire blazes, the gray smoke towers. Sing a song of seasons, something bright and all, flowers in the summer, fires in the fall.
I think that's very pretty, and I love how thoughtful you are in trying to pair your words of warmth with what we're talking about. I love that we sang a song of seasons today. We really did.
Flowers in the summer, fires in the fall. This is on my mind for a couple of reasons. One is I liked the red fire blazing with the gray smoke towers. I could almost smell that imagery. I'm mixing senses there, but it makes sense to me. Also, in California, we have forest fires all over the place. And so feeling very like this fall is on fire right now. Definitely is a wildfire season here in California. So flowers, they're back in the summer. We're in fall fire season.
Yeah, hopefully we get out of this fire season, everyone stays safe, and we transition into a beautiful fall.
But even when it's not literal fire, the changing leaves also invokes like a flame. And there's like that connection there too. It's a very pretty image.
Yeah, and I love the name of the poem too.
Jillian, what are your words of warmth this week?
Mine is also a poem, but I just took a little snippet of it. It's from Carl Sandburg, Under the Harvest Moon, from Chicago Poems, and it was published in 1916. Under the harvest moon, when the soft silver drips, shimmering over the garden nights, Death the gray mocker comes and whispers to you as a beautiful friend who remembers. So I know I mentioned death in that quote, which might not seem super cozy, but I chose this quote for two reasons. The first one being today, the day we're recording, the harvest moon is coming out. So I was really on the hunt for a good harvest moon quote. And similar to you, Matt, it took me a long time. There's a lot of garbage quotes
Yeah.
to sift
And
through.
some of them are truly just by unknown. They should have stayed unknown. I don't know why they got recorded here.
Yeah, it makes me feel uncomfortable with the unknown. I don't know. I need to source it to someone. I just can't
Yes.
have.
Well, exactly. At a certain point, when I see an unknown quote, I'm like, is this supposed to be on a sign from Bed Bath and Beyond?
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that.
Yeah, absolutely. But I thought the imagery here, the soft silver drip shimmering over the garden nights was so pretty. And then about death being a beautiful friend who remembers, I think the fall is such a time to reflect and think about just the past year in general and where we've been, what we've gained, what we lost, what we're probably going to lose potentially, and that it's all part of life's experience, and that's really beautiful, and I like how death here is someone who is the holder of memories and that the fall is just demonstrative of that sentiment. So, I think it's beautiful, but also really makes me think for some reason the beautiful friend who remembers just really hit a chord for me.
I agree. What I really love about this season is that we are more contemplative of death and its presence and the fact of it in life. I appreciate that this poem calls that out and shows maybe not the other side, but shows another dimension of that feeling.
Yeah, that even the death of summer is beautiful in itself, and it's just another way to be grateful for the season passing. So, thank you, Carl, for
Thanks,
that
Carl.
little tidbit.
I'm really excited about this candle review because it came from some sleuthing. And so you tracked it down. Julian, what are you sniffing today?
I'm sniffing the Red Currant by Votivo. And I really want to thank all of the folks who popped up on our Facebook group and unprompted said, "Hey, I have a lead. I think that this is the candle that you're talking about in a totally 90s fall." If you happen to listen to that episode, I was on the hunt for a candle to open our season, and I stopped in this store, my old neighborhood, and there's this lovely woman who was helping me look through all the candles, and eventually, I told her that I was looking for a cozy candle in particular, and she lit up and she said, "Oh, well, you need Red Currant by Votivo." It was everywhere in the 90s because I also told her that the episode was about the 90s and the fall. And so knowing the coziness and the fall aspect, she really got into it and was very passionate about this candle was in all of the fashion houses in New York in the 90s, and I was there. It's like, wow, okay, we have boots on the ground, a soldier coming from the 90s and wanted to lead me to this candle. So like, I gotta get it. But I couldn't remember what exactly she said at the time. She was very soft spoken and it was loud, so I just was nodding along. And that's another, reminder to speak up if you don't understand or hear someone, so you don't have to enlist your podcast listeners to help you find what you're looking for. But anyway, I got it. It's $32, I think 6 ounces. It came in a very pretty box. It's clearly a well-made candle in a typical glass jar, but looks very sturdy. And the scents are tart, citrus, and earthy greens. And according to the website, it feels like sun drenched leaves and golden rays filtering through greenhouse windows, which seems so appropriate for this episode. Golden rays, sun drenched leaves, talk about the seasons. The top notes earthy green, galbanum, tart citrus. In the middle notes, cassis, tropical fruit, and the base notes, fruity musk. It's a very lovely smell. I do think I've smelled it before. It smells so familiar, like it's been in my life, but I don't know in what context. Because I wasn't hanging out in fashion houses in New York in the early 90s, so I don't know in what context I'd be sniffing
Maybe your
this.
parents were and you didn't know there was just you're absorbing it. What does it smell like to you? Like, how would you describe it?
It definitely has that fruity scent that it talked about in the base notes. That fruity musk is coming off really strong. It's like a sugary, fruity scent, but not in that disgusting way. Because I hate those sugary candles that are way too fruity. Oh, okay. So, when you get a gift and there's the parchment, not parchment paper, but what's that paper called?
Tissue paper?
Tissue paper. When you have the tissue paper and it comes from a nice boutique or a nicer store, it has that sweet little
Mhm.
fresh scent. That's
Yeah,
like what this is.
I love that. I know exactly what you're talking about. I immediately want this candle.
Yeah, it's so specific, but that's what it reminds me of. So maybe that's why it was in the fashion houses because it has that freshly opened cardigan you got from a
Yeah.
nice store. Yeah. So thank you to the shop assistant in Lake Boutique in Silver Lake. You're so helpful and you led us to a really great candle. I appreciate it. And thank you to our listeners who found it for me.
Thank you to the listener detectives and to that store worker because now we can all bring a little piece of the 90s into our homes.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Now that we know our palette, and we'd love to know yours too, if you want to sound off and share that on social media, we're at All Things Cozy Podcast on Instagram and Facebook. We do have some shout outs. First off, thanks to Eric, Steph, and Emily for joining our Patreon. Thank you so much for your support. If you're interested in joining our Patreon, and if you do so at the votive level or higher, you can be part of our book club. You can do that at patreon.com/allthingscozy.
And we also got a new review, too. In fact, I'll read the first one. This podcast makes my heart so happy, a breath of fresh air amidst the world's troubles. And this is from user BHDM on Apple Podcasts, left us a really sweet review, and we appreciate it.
I also got this review, which reads, one of my favorites, if I'm having a stressful day, listening to All Things Cozy always makes me feel better. Also, as a fellow Angelino, listening to the fall winter episodes helps me get into the seasonal spirit, even if it may be 90 degrees outside. And that was by D Rose 816. Thank you so much for your lovely review. We're happy that we get to help out a fellow Angelino.
And it's so nice to get 2 new reviews. That was a wonderful surprise.
Yeah, we now officially have over 200 reviews. You finally answered the call I made a year ago. Listeners,
Well,
thank you for
better
that.
late than never.
Better late than
Yeah.
never. Yeah, thanks everyone to leaves a review. It warms our heart and helps people find the show. Thank you very much. And with that, Jillian and I are off to shop for new shirts and for her especially pants. But never fear, we will be back in your ears with a brand new episode in just a couple of weeks. Until next time,
Stay
stay cozy.
cozy.